Welcome back, everyone, here to the Rally Cry halftime show and to the LCS Challengers League. I am Mazel. I'm joined by Magical at a last-minute brief introduction, and Tubby coming in clutch here as well.
I hate to admit that I got myself tangled in the cable.
I see.
Literally was trying to get myself untangled somehow. Like, you didn't see my wrist was still like...
I would pay to watch that content. I would pay to watch that. I want to see that go down. We did have an interesting game number 1 between Maryville and FlyQuest Challengers, though. But we also have to talk a little bit more about the standings because we had some very curious things happening on the other stream, Cubby. So let's go ahead and bring up the standings and talk a little bit about that.
Oh, is that a Supernova win on the board I see against none other but not $1 billion org disguised? Oh my goodness.
Incredible stuff, and the implications are rampant here, obviously. Trying to stay out of that promotion relegation tournament was Maryville, but Supernova trying to get them a last-minute hiccup here as we're getting into the last week of our regular season, Magical.
That's very important. Every single game for these bottom 3 teams matters. Now that Supernova is tied with Maryville, that puts a lot of pressure here onto this game for Maryville because they play off against FlyQuest today. Then tomorrow, they have to face off against Cincinnati Fear, a team that we already saw look red hot earlier today. And then they round it off with a possible match decider between them and Team Fish Taco.
Now, our tiebreakers are a bit interesting, different here in NACL. The first one, when it comes to tiebreaker, is actually the amount of 2-0s that you have. So Maryville does have one more 2-0 than Supernova. So a 2-0 for Supernova would be massive. The head-to-head between the two of them is also tied. We'll see if Supernova can pick up another game against Disguise. That would be incredible for them.
Let's see what happens, though, as the last-ditch efforts from these teams is all full of heart. We are getting into our last game here, but before we do, we got to have our little bit of fun. We got to have our halftime segment. I'm bringing back around Art is Challenging, where I have a story to tell from that last game, and I've drawn some wonderful art to display said story. And I want you guys to try to determine what part of the game that I'm trying to pick apart and which part of the game I'm representing here throughout the entirety of it, all right?
So I'm going to guess that everything's about the first 5 minutes.
No.
Well, then...
Almost. No.
There we go.
This is Art is Challenging, so let's go ahead and get into it because our LCS challengers are challenging the LCS. I would love to see if I can maybe challenge Art in your perspective.
What are you challenging Art to? Is it like a
drawing contest?
that doesn't sound like a fair fight for you.
So this is our first picture. It is a hot one out there, I gotta say. And there were 2 members of Maryville University who might have been sweltering in the heat and standing tall in the mid lane was a man that might have looked like a bird. What could have this representation here?
Was it the 2v2 mid, the first blood that Winston came to the rescue?
It was indeed. Spyrex stood tall in the moment.
So far, I'm right. It is within the first 5 minutes.
I gotta say, this drawing doesn't look like it's from Runeterra. It looks like it could be from like Greek mythology, given the shields and the spears that we have.
It's just a really tall Azir, okay? It's just like he's real, like you can't step to Spyrex, and you saw he played with so much confidence in that one.
I feel like this is lore Azir.
I thought it looked more like a turret first off, which I respect.
No, it's just big Azir.
Okay. Big Azir.
That without arms.
This is lore accurate.
This is lore accurate. This is lore accurate. Absolutely. It was representing that 2v2. And I feel like Spyrex did step up in that moment, right? He kind of kited down to the bottom side of the turret, went out of lane a little bit, but being able to pull it back and buy a lot of time for the team. Big moment and a very strong start for FlyQuest Challengers. But we're on to our next one. And this one was definitely a little bit fun. A bit of representation here, all right? If you can think about what's going on. Maybe feel a little bit left out, but having his own fun. There's a big group of people over there on the bottom, right? But the guy with the big sword is having his own fun.
That's Faisal. I mean, we know that.
Yeah, good job. You did it. Good job. He looks pretty happy here, right?
I'll take the points. Thank you.
No. You're a play-by-play. We got to get this right. That is Trindamir, who was piloted by Faisal. All right? That matters. Now, the bam, bam, bam. I'm going to go with that is the top dive that they were able to pull off, or the Herald fight, but I'm going to go with top dive first.
It was the top dive. So it was just absolute chaos. It was fun. It was cool to see the Trindamir come out for Faisal as a whole, first and foremost, because you were highlighting it so well in the game. it forces the hand of your opponent, right?
You have to
I don't
think there's that many people in that.
There's just a lot of fighting, all right? I put like a couple stick figures down there. I was like, that doesn't look like enough, all right?
First off, magical minions are people too. Second off, I didn't know that we'd have like a Flintstone League of Legends reference here with the Bam Bam going on. But
and it's drawn too, which is even better. I had the option to do text, but no. I went the true art is challenging way, and I drew those letters, and it looks terrible. So shout-outs to Faisal. He's looking really happy on the Tryndamere. Now, the next part, maybe a little bit of a family trip. You highlighted it in the game a lot. FlyQuest were a bit on cruise control. They were cruising ahead, and it came up a lot during the game itself. So I'd say I put them all in like a family-style convertible, and they're all having a good day out on the road.
Wait. But that's the speed bump of the dragon fight.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. That's the speed bump.
Hold on, kids. You're going to hit a bump, all right?
Yeah, you're going to hit a bump. They hit you bump around dragon, but then also we looked at the rest of the map, and we're like, oh, Tryndamere just took a top lane turret. Oh, they're also losing mid lane turret. Oh.
That's why the car doesn't look broken, okay? It's going to ride over that bump.
It's like when you take the kids, on like the Hollywood's like tour, like one of those like big tourist bus, and then you stop at a red light and you see something that you don't want your kids to see. Sometimes that happens, unfortunately, out here. So
pull up the windows. But it's a convertible. What do we do?
No, look away. Keep your eyes in the vehicle here for this portion.
Also, the speed bump in the face of an M. There, just fitting as always, right?
Also, I mean, Equalizer, I feel like if you did drive over Equalizer, going to break out real life science and lore, your tires would pop. So I feel that is pretty accurate.
That is literally lava. Yeah, I would say so. Anyways, we're going to move on to the last one. This one is a representation of the very end of the game. I think you guys can figure out what's going on. The Baron is a beautiful creation. I don't know what you're talking about.
What is
more specifically, what is happening here?
I can't get over the face it's making. Look
at the eyes. They're so cute.
I've seen some things, man. I've seen some things.
He's seen some things. He saw FlyQuest win both sides of the map. I don't know what you want.
I feel like this Baron was influenced by like Breezy's hair photo, which we finally got the photos from AoE. Mazel, what did you say about Breezy, by the way, from that photo? This is iconic.
He looks exactly like he should be in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. If you don't know what movie that is, I'm sorry, I'm way too old for you. But it is a representation of the pull and the push, I guess, of FlyQuest Challengers in that first game, right? Like, they were literally picking apart the map, and they were able to get their cake and eat it too.
They were so far ahead. Literally, they didn't even need their Tryndamere to be a part of anything because he would just automatically win. And everyone else was so fed that it was as though they had that fifth member there.
Yeah. And so that is it for our Art is Challenging. That was the story of game number 1. A little bit one-sided for FlyQuest. There was that bump in the road for the cruise control team. Now we're looking at our game number 2 here. We're going to be getting into it here very shortly, specifically trying to see how Maryville can bounce back. The wins are all that matters here. They have to try to go above Supernova.
I have the game plan. Don't have what happened in the first 5 minutes happen this time.
Oh my God. It's big brain. Well, I don't know if we need any more analysis after that. That was probably the biggest brain thing I've ever heard. We're going to get straight into our last game here on the B stream. It is Maryville versus FlyQuest, game number 2.
All right, thank you, Lennon. Let's get into this game because with Supernova picking up a crucial game against this guys over on LCS Challengers, which is still going on, by the way, and you can go check out that series as well. But make sure you stay here as well because Maryville, if they pick up this game, they will remain tied or possibly ahead of Supernova, dependent on how Supernova are in that last game against the guys. But FlyQuest, they looked really strong in that game 1. They came out swinging and almost our fastest game of the split.
I mean, when you get Baron and you end the game in 21-40, that's pretty tight window. One of the faster ends we've seen with Baron. Very impressive from FlyQuest, and good to see them showing some more strategic flexibility before we dive into playoffs. This is a team that I always think is rather difficult to prep for, given just how many champions that so many of their players can pilot at a pretty high level here for our Challengers League. And FlyQuest demonstrating yet another with Faisal on a rare split push game where he gets off tank duty and weak side duty, and did some good work there on the sideline. So we'll see if Maryville goes back to the drawing board, as we already have. We'll say one adaptation coming out.
Yeah.
With the Kaisa now denied from the side of FlyQuest. So maybe
Kaisa denied, as well as the Olaf let through. Sejuani taken off the board. that's, I think, the two crucial things with this draft for both sides is that now you have that if you need to for Faisal. But FlyQuest, knowing that that rel was going to be picked up so quickly, they go for the Lovers duo in this bot lane.
Expecting to see an Aphelios now for the side of Scary Cherry. And if MU wants, they could show mid, maybe denying that Azir away from Spyrax. But we have seen Get Back play more for the champions that play a little bit quicker. The likes of, the NACL, the Ahri, I think it's definitely been the move. But hey, Jace spin that through. That Maokai pairing is not up, but Jace, really good champ for Maryville. Both Niles and Get Back can play with Jace rather well. So some flexibility here in the draft for the side of Maryville. Again, we expect to see this mid. Jace top, not really popular at the moment, but still a champ that Niles, historically, always got to highlight that displayed that.
Yeah, and Maryville right now have a lot of flexibility with having not just the Jace, but the rel too. Not really much has been shown for them in this bot lane, but they do get the Ziggs here, and that is a different look here for Maryville.
And there is no ability to respond with Seraphine, one of the champs that I really like in the Ziggs at the moment. So we'll see if Masu is going to be able to navigate this matchup where Ziggs does get quite a bit of poke down onto the Xayah. And the poke heavy composition already showing here from Maryville with the Jace and the Ziggs combo. So FlyQuest likely need to take some strong snap engage to break that. Before so, it will be that old off for Faisal as he gets to have fun both games today, Mad Match.
Yeah, he gets to play Tryndamere in game 1 and split push until the end of the game, and now he gets Olaf and possibly can do the same thing here in game 2, but being the champion that he has made a name for himself back on Cincinnati Fear, and will be his 4th time with the FlyQuest Challengers roster that he gets to play this champion. I'm really excited to see what is going to happen here for FlyQuest, because that was a very different style that they played in game 1 here up against Maryville, where they didn't necessarily have to have Faisal on a weak side and then play for team fights. They could have set up on side lanes, and it looked really good out of FlyQuest.
I like the Pantheon ban being targeted at Niles to try and protect that Olaf and see if Faisal can get rolling in that side lane again here on the Olaf, as you highlighted with him in the Tryndamere in the last game, Magical. At the moment, I think that if you don't ban Azir, it might get locked in here by the side of FlyQuest.
Too.
I mean, most teams, they blind jungle. And I will say, I'm not expecting to see Olaf jungle. No. But you can't play it in a rel. It's actually, you actually do kind of maul rel if you are Olaf jungle. So,
but I don't expect that.
Yeah, it's just that either.
Not really screaming UG to me, even if UG... UG more on Nocturne is what I expect. That pick here, I actually do like, because the rel will struggle a little bit more if you do flex the rel into the jungle. But also, the fact that you don't have something that can really attack the Nocturne early into the game, I think is the big thing.
It's also a tad bit of denial out of what could be a mid jungle here for the side of MU. Like, if they went Nocturne NACL, it would have been really tough to play against Jace, Siggs. That's one way you could have gotten the Jace top into the Olaf. But again, not a matchup I'm expecting to see. Expecting to see likely a Kennen coming out from Niles to try and counter this Olaf in the top side. I feel like that's Niles' best champion to play to try and beat this Olaf on us. Could be more team fight engage for the side as Orn Lee, quite the combo we have from MU. That is being covered at the moment from Zyko.
Odd Orange, when I think Odd Orange and think back to when he was like with Echo Fox Academy back in the day and stuff, when he was in the Academy circuit, Lee Sin was the champion I would always see from Odd Orange. That was the classic out of this player when he was looking more to be a competitive player before joining up with Maryville. So having him with something that has a lot of agency up against something like Nocturne, I talked about how the rel matchup, you don't really have that ability to attack Nocturne early. Lee Sin, though, that has a lot of opportunity to attack UG in the jungle early on, except for the fact that you have to now deal with this Olaf up against Ornn, and normally they play around having Niles and Odd Orange grouped together.
Very different look coming out from FlyQuest this game, as it is the Xayah Rakan bot, and what I expect to be prio in a lot of their lanes. Nocturne Ahri will be looking to go over the top and get onto the artillery backline of the Jace and Ziggs from the side of FlyQuest. You have Rakan to follow up upon that, as Faisal honestly loves his life this game. I really don't know what deals with this Olaf. Yes, Ornn will be really big for the team fight, but you got a couple champions that have to go into Olaf, and there is not a lot of sustained DPS for Olaf to deal with. And if he gets back into that J6 backline, that could be really big. So I think that Olaf can kind of be a game breaker here for the side of FlyQuest. And Faisal is a fantastic Olaf player. So here to see if he's able to cash in on his counter pick or I should say, the Ornn matchup, you know, kind of being a self-counter in a way. Definitely more for the team, but Faisal, a champ that we know him for, I really think he has the opportunity to go massive in this game.
As do I, putting a lot of agency onto the top half of the map for FlyQuest Challengers to counteract that of what Maryville have done so successfully all summer split long. Niles and Odd-Orange teaming up together this time around. Really does feel like a lot of the onus is going to be on to Get Back and Scary Jerry. The poke that they both have maybe can enable Odd-Orange to get into this backline to attack someone like Masu, who could be their one window into picking up these wins.
Ooh.
Okay, nice down on the Winsome. Battle Dance away, but followed up by Odd-Orange. He wants this one. The flash away. Flash coming in from Odd-Orange, but not on top of Winsome, and didn't have the cooldowns necessary to land that Q.
That was an optimistic flash coming out from MU and Odd-Orange as trying to get a cheesy first blood. Winsome gonna have to hit the recall button, get that health back, but Guiding Ward is down. As he valued his lane experience, the ward more than lane experience. As by Magical, looks like each of our junglers is going to be mirrored clear. Yuji sticking with the AoE camps early, so looking to cycle out those camps as Nocturne. No surprise there. If you want to rush level 6, Odd-Orange is going to start off with the red buff, so look to see if he makes any plays early. And by Magical, I'm just going to give a hot take. I don't like this one. I think this Nocturne skin should be the base skin for Nocturne.
What? Observers, can we pass back to it?
Oh, Nocturne's base skin.
Honestly, agreed.
It's cooler than base skin Nocturne.
It is such a good skin. Honestly, when I play Nocturne, that is all I play.
This and Bloodlord Vladimir are the two where that should just be the base skins for the champions.
Yes, Bloodlord Vladimir very much should be the base skin as well. I agree. But
yep. All right. Glad we're on the same page. We can cast the rest of the game together. Let's go.
Perfect. I agree. I like that. I also like this Lee skin. I think this is a good one. Nice. But I think base is still good as well. It's one of those ones where it's like, I like both, but for Nocturne, I agree. Spot lane, I kind of want to turn our attention here, because something that we don't really get to talk to too often is Scary Jerry in the spot lane with Psycho and how they can play. And up against Masu, they're looking for first blood that they pick up as Winsome tags Scary Jerry. Can he heal up? He cannot heal up enough, but first blood was picked up by Maryville.
If Winsome is not able to hold the wave here, that's massive for the side MU. There's no way he can. It's level 3 versus level 1. So this wave crashes. Masu's going to lose all this. Really well done by the Maryville bot lane to deny Xayah. Meanwhile, on the top side, Odd-Orange cleared out his 3 camps, based and walked top. Yuji is just taking his entire jungle right under his nose.
They know that you're there, but it is going to be the knock-up there on Faisal. No way to escape that one. So a good kill for Maryville.
Faisal did opt for the TP and not the flash on top of the Ghost. So Odd-Orange and Niles able to cash in early. Ornn provides really good gank assist for Lee Sin. Maybe some of the idea behind that pick is Odd-Orange. See if he's wiser to it. You find Yuji here.
He knows something's up, but Psycho showing mid lane is going to scare away Yuji. Yuji totally wanted to go for that play, knowing they had the TP back in from Faisal. But I like that movement here from Maryville. Going back to the point I was trying to make before the first blood happened in the bot lane. With this Ziggs pick, it kind of changes a lot of the identity here for Maryville, where this bot lane can play a lot more aggressively in these 2v2s and look a lot stronger than we've seen in many of these series for Maryville.
For me, Masu had to flash the crash down from Zyko if he wanted to get out. Instead, they try to fight it out. They had the double shield for Winsome, but it's only at level 1 on Winsome. If Winsome has level 2, maybe lands a Q. Maybe they can use that to keep Xayah alive, but instead, it's some calculated. Hits him with the wing, hits him with the fire. Ziggs burns down. And now FlyQuest again, that bot lane a little bit behind early on, Mad Magical. As I will say, the one positive is Scary Jerry. He can't base for that early lost chapter. He did burn the TP to get back to the waves, so they actually kind of broke that. Oh, Charm goes wide.
Get back. Getting a lot of damage there on to Spyrax. On a flash forward, not going to land the Shock Blast.
Flash for flash trade, I will say that's advantage Spyrax, given that he has ultimate coming back up. He can TP back to this lane, but still really well done by the side of Get Back. They're going to let Scary Jerry base, and now Zyko going to get his flash. Kind of clever there from the side of FlyQuest. They had info on the base from the Ziggs, wait for him to go back, and then Masu presses that Nas button. Masu going to be able to maybe hit the turret real quickly as recall is started by Winston.
Could be a little afraid of where Odd Orange is. Even if Zyko's that low, trading your life for 2 kills onto Elise would be a pretty brutal start here, especially because Yuji did get such a massive lead against Odd Orange by going for that invade, kind of reading the play of Odd Orange, wanting to attack that top lane. Now Odd Orange kind of feels lost on the map on where he needs to be.
And his first clear got really busted by Yuji, who was able to feast, and Yuji nearly has access to level 6. As we can see, Niles doing a nice job actually in this matchup. I think Niles has actually been a very strong Ornn player. Something that, Niles wasn't necessarily known for when he got promoted into Golden Guardians, but I thought his Ornn was really strong back then. And Niles utilizing this matchup okay. He's behind in CS, but he's keeping that wave on his side of the map, and his ability to continue to build Ornn items to kind of sustain through the Olaf actually did force Faisal back. So Niles showing that he's doing a pretty decent job early on in this matchup that he chose for himself. Definitely not going to be one where you can hard counter Olaf, but the goal is to neutralize him and be more impactful in the team fights.
Good lane. That's going to be the Spirit Charge. Looking for either Get Back or Odd Orange. And with no flash, they just decided to go for Get Back. Get Back even realized he knew he was doomed.
Level 5 for Yuji. He might actually... He's so far ahead, he might ding 6 off this crab. It's close if he ends up going for it. But mid laner gone, no TP for Get Back. Will just be the free dragon going over to the side of FlyQuest.
Take the objective, they can get the crab afterwards. They get the full buffet here in this bot lane after that play.
He did. I think he gets 6 off this.
I think so. I think he gets... Just waiting for it. Nope, okay. It will be out on the crab then.
For sure. For sure the crab. Whoa,
big plays again for FlyQuest early into this game. It feels like
really big.
Maryville, they've got to find an answer to stop this Nocturne, because the whole idea with playing against Nocturne is you beat him before he's level 6. You fight him early, you put him behind, so that once he hits level 6, he's not in a position to actually use that ult to get into the backline. Now, he has got such a massive lead here against Odd Orange, not only in what he was able to get from just the jungle camps themselves, but getting that dragon early into this game, kind of setting up this mid lane to look very powerful. Him and Spyrex are going to be a deadly duo.
That's exactly what I want to see Yuji go next to. Go attack mid right before this Rift Herald. You have no flash onto the Jace. Once Ahri gets that ult back up, I think Yuji should ult mid, and FlyQuest should go play out this map from there as Rift Herald, I expect to be in their favor. Now, Niles is actually pretty big on this Ornn. Faisal can't really move him. And Odd Orange is rotating up potentially early to try and cut off this Olaf. Never mind. I'm going to give a love tap over to that Rift Herald. Level 6 has been secured for the side of Odd Orange as well. And I will say Yuji wasn't able to base after that dragon. So he's sitting on some gold that is not spent right now. Maybe a small advantage that could help MU in this fight. But still, Get Back has no flash. And I think that's the target for Yuji and FlyQuest.
Bot lanes kind of just matching each other. Scary Jerry will try to roam up quickly enough so he can throw out the Mega Inferno Bomb, but that's going to be the lights turned off. Looking for the pick into the backline. They've got the Paranoia Fear. They've got the damage. The flash away did not help Odd Orange because he'd already lost the mid lane, but they got the kill back on the Faisal. They got the snipe back in. They've got a lot of damage. You got to be careful. You're locked into this pit, FlyQuest. How do you get out? It's a flash for one. Should be the battle dance for another. Zyko takes a lot of damage for it.
And this rotation from the Zig, Scary Jerry didn't really get much from it. He was able to throw down his ultimate and get an assist, but still, it's plates going over to Masu. As not only does Herald go to the side of FlyQuest, but Masu got 2 plates, so FlyQuest, again, winning on both sides of the map.
And that feels like that has been the real theme of this series here between Maryville and between FlyQuest, is that every play FlyQuest make, even if it's answered by Maryville, they're already a step ahead, getting a complete different play happening on the other side of the map.
And I think the focus from FlyQuest, again, this comp's not too hard to play out. It's like, all right, who doesn't have flash? That carry. Okay, we press R onto him. As the lights go out, Spyrex makes sure they find Get Back in the vision, and Get Back falls. Honestly, survived longer than what he had to. And then I didn't really see the rest of the fight, as Faisal was brought low and ends up going down, as Odd Orange was able to barely sneak out of there. And overall, just a 1-for-1 trade. Herald going over. FlyQuest, they'll take that every day of the week. Again, FlyQuest, I will say this game, you're going to play the game a little bit faster. It's not like they have the Omega scaling advantage that they had in Game 1. But I still think that FlyQuest have the ability to play this game quickly and continuously pull the triggers. Look at the ult from Spyrax and Yuji. That's what you're going to be looking for as a FlyQuest fan to see when they're going to try and find that action. It's going to be off the cooldown of those two ultimates.
And once Yuji has Paranoia back up, imagine that he's going to flip the light switch again. Look for this play, but they're having a little bit of a skirmish here in the river. Looking for the kick. There's no way to escape. It's the Wombo combo with the bomb on top of him to pick up the Nightmare Dead. Flashing away FlyQuest. They'll limp away, but they've lost Yuji and control of the river.
Love that TP coming out of Scary Jerry. Flash with Yuji and the targeting coming out from MU.
Masu,
very strong there. Masu, he's got ult.
He's got ult, but he's in a bad position. The crash down to make sure he can't get away, and he goes up into the air, but he's picked up. They've got the kill. Masu, you did not need to be there, my friend, and now the rest of your team has to scurry away.
Oh, Masu is going for a big play. That root flash doesn't quite connect on the pullback of the feathers. Ends up looking a bit silly for it, as Masu, rare reaction mistake from him, who has been so sound, especially on this Xayah this split, man, Magical. As his Xayah 2-1 with pretty good numbers to boot with it. So Masu going to the wayward there. And MU going to try and make some good use out of it, as we are 30 seconds away from this dragon. Get Back does have flash back up. And FlyQuest, they have ultimates on their mid-jungle duo. So let's see if they pull the trigger and can get a kill, a pick before this dragon spawns.
Well, Niles in the top lane is going to get a little bit harassed by Faisal. Both of them having TPs. FlyQuest throwing down the Rift Herald mid lane so that they can try to get everything set up beforehand around that dragon. It's only the second one of the game that they would pick up. So it's not necessarily the most important, but if they can get a pick onto someone like Maryville earlier on, that could be enough where this dragon will mean a lot.
Is going to be spotted as the crab is secured at the moment by Maryville, but I think Maryville's a little bit scared to fight this. They don't have control over the river at the moment. And Niles, okay, never mind. He's TPing in. We'll see if Faisal responds.
Throwing it out, but they turn off the light, so they can't even spite it away. Now they scurry out of danger. FlyQuest will gain themselves that second dragon of the game. Everyone's still getting harassed. They're getting chased. That bomb is going to do a lot of damage on Amasu, who does not have the Feather Storm or Flash to get out of this one. That should be his third death, a killing spree for Odd Orange.
Good punish by MU, taking down Masu, as you called out, man, Magical. Nothing up for him to dodge out on that damage due to the failed all-in that he had in that bot river earlier, so MU able to answer back.
Get back. Nice dodge there. Away from Spyrax. Spyrax still has that Spirit Rush away. He's able to skirt danger here in the mid lane. But it still feels like FlyQuest, even though they do lose Masu, they gained themselves that second dragon of the game, and Faisal got a lot of alone time in that top lane. That turret is so low.
And Faisal looks like he's going to be going for... Faisal, he's someone that when he plays this Olaf usually goes for the Trinity Force and into Death's Dance. But into the Ornn, the tank matchup, it looks like he's going to go for that Ravenous Hydra and get some extra push to his name, and he TP's bot to save this first brick from going over the Ziggs, who would have had it with a little bit more alone time. So good presence of mind there on the roll, I should say lane swap from FlyQuest, as they make sure that first brick doesn't fall in Maryville's favor and get Masu a good set up top. As Niles, he's got a flash.
Flashes early to get away. He's tanky enough. He'll be out of there. And I kind of want to say that this is something I like about seeing Niles on this Ornn. Being more of that weak side top lane has allowed Odd Orange a lot of freedom on the map to play around lanes we just don't normally see him play too much around, especially when we look at how he's played around this bot lane, tagging up with Zyko. Feels like this game in particular has been a good showcase of how this jungler and support have synergy with one another to constantly attack the map.
And also gave, like, yeah, it opens things up for Odd Orange, but also gave him a lane to attack early on. I think the game plan of the Olaf is actually pretty good, making sure they kill him on that third wave crash.
And that's netted them a lot of control here. Even bot lane, Scary Jerry, 1, 1, and 3 on that Ziggs, and he's got that power spike that Leandry's already completed, where he can clear out every single minion wave very easily, though. Getting tagged by the Charm. Not the Everfrost, though. We'll be back underneath the turret, puts down the minefield, and all the while, Faisal does topple the first structure. Kind of going back to the game plan of FlyQuest. They make multiple plays happen at once, and it seems that Maryville can't answer every single one of them.
Faisal doesn't have that empowered TP, though, so Maryville is starting to ping this Rift Herald TP comes out from Ziggs into the mid lane. Will not be a collapse. Spyrex just goes wayward with that charm, but Second Herald has been pulled by the side of MU, and Niles being here.
Look at Spyrex. He's in a bad position.
Force his ult.
Trying to get him out, but he's going to be tagged, and he's popped before he can even use the ult out.
Very greedy from the side of Spyrex, as ult and flash are available for the mid laner of FlyQuest. He doesn't use either of them. Ends up going down. As now Maryville, that's a free Herald for them, and a good group again from Niles as he finds a play on the Ornn.
Finds that play, gets the kill onto Spyrex. That's going to be the Rift Herald, the first neutral objective of the game, picked up by Maryville. As FlyQuest, uncharacteristically, look lost right now on the map on what they can do. They're kind of sending Masu mid lane to shove out the wave, but he got chunked out low too, so he can't really stay too long. And they're even TPing Spyrex into this bottom half of the map, which means this top lane is going to die.
That's a Ziggs pushing, my friend. They're going to be roasted and toasted. It's now Faisal.
As the Ragnarok pops it a little bit late, though, and he's actually bursted down. Another kill goes the way of Maryville. Another play benefiting them, plus getting a turret.
Good stuff coming out from Maryville as they make really good use of the Ziggs push there, finding a couple picks as well. Get back able to be a little bit safer in that bot lane on the side. Now, this does give FlyQuest full control over the bot side river. So Maryville will be fighting an uphill battle going into this dragon, but you will always take what Maryville just got on the Rift, especially from behind. As some nice plays coming out from them as a team, and honestly, some disrespect coming out from FlyQuest and their solo laners, Faisal and Spyrex. Faisal trying to approach that wave, and Spyrex just not burning anything really early on in this game.
No, he's trying to hold on to a lot of this, maybe waiting for a lot of this plays, because when you have Spyrex and Yuji on the same page with this Nocturne Ahri combo, even just how we've seen FlyQuest attack teams in the past, it's been Yuji and Spyrex on the same page. It's going to be great for them, but they have to get to that moment. Right now, Maryville are containing them, putting them in a cage, a little box, so they can't actually play outside of the proper zone that Maryville doesn't want them to.
This, and I don't say this just because Ziggs is in the game, it's going to be an explosive fight, as pretty much every single summoner spell is available for each of our teams here. Winsome, clever little Q there to heal himself, plus 127 on a 1-point Q. That's why we see a lot of Recon still in the meta. Definitely not balanced, as MU trying to deny a soul point from FlyQuest. Oh, they're going to go on to Yuji, that's good.
Looking for Yuji. He turns the lights out, but they know where you are. So when you dash forward, it didn't really help out. But you got a good arm on the other side with Winsome caught up and everyone locked in. But you got to be careful. The Bomba into the back line, trying to peel down. You keep the Niles as Niles bounces around Masu, who goes up into the air. But the call of the Forge God is Masu taking him down. Masu, how did you live, my friend? How did you do it? But you got to be careful because Niles still wants to end. Masu again survives and throws it right back in the face of the Saints.
This is a crazy fight coming out from Masu. I know Spyrex got the quadra kill, but Masu having the confidence to step up when he did, he threw his ult one direction, walked towards it as Zaya, and got on the other side of the feathers, as that's what enabled him to actually win the fight for his team. As FlyQuest, I want to see a replay of this fight, man. So many things happened at once. They get rewarded with 2 outers. It's a chunk onto Yuji to start things off. So he is forced to ult and go in now, and they all funnel into Get Back. So this combo from Winsome, I think, was really nice. Spyrex has a great follow-up from a good angle. Get Back gets eliminated. But then it's Ziggs damage into the choke with an Ornn Horn. Styles gets the knock up on the Masu, and they nearly burn him down. But then the ult up from Masu. He flashes into Scary Jerry, walks around the feathers, so he actually finds the root on the Niles. That is just 2 tanks, and Masu spaces this one out beautifully for the rest of the fight. Nothing else able to hit him as he helps Spyrex secure that quadra kill. Great movement coming out from Masu in that fight to make sure that went the way of FlyQuest.
The fact he didn't get a single kill in that fight is absolutely a travesty.
That's when you type all me as Spyrex. You know?
All right, Spyrex, hey, he's getting the last kills. He's now fed on this Ahri, and we are back onto the Dragon. FlyQuest this time around have a far bigger lead, and they're looking for the fight. They've got a lot of damage on Ornn, and they're going to rip them apart. Gaining the first kill for Masu. The rest of Maryville, they don't got anything left in the tank because they're completely wiped clean.
If you don't have summoner spells into Nocturne Ahri, you are going to get womboed and comboed. Exactly what happened for Maryville, though, there is they decide to not see the objective As FlyQuest actually decides to see that objective themselves. They got their sights set on the big purple worm that's center of the map, and FlyQuest looking to make this a clean 2-0.
Clean 2-0 here to try to cement that second seed for themselves that they are fighting with Disguise and Wildcard 4. But right now, they are making a great statement for why they deserve to be the second seed team here of the Challengers League. At 20 minutes and a half, not only do they get the bot lane turret, but they also gain the Turo Baron buff for all 5 members.
And the first fight we saw, every summoner spell was up, so it was going to be an explosive fight. And yeah, Maryville were able to create a lot of the space away from that big opener that FlyQuest has in their draft with Rakan, Nocturne, and Ahri. But this time around, when you don't have flashes available, you saw FlyQuest jump onto the Ziggs, murder Scary Jerry before he was able to get going at all in that fight. And Spyrax just raking in all the kills here, sitting at 7, 1, and 4 on this Ahri, and FlyQuest again. That race for second, as you highlighted, Mad Magical, you know, we spent some time talking about the race to make playoffs, which I think is more important given the stakes about whether you're in playoffs or in the promotion tournament to try and earn your spot back into NACL for spring. Yeah, that matters a little bit more to me. But hey, FlyQuest, they got some stakes of their own. They're trying to secure that second seed or try and push TLC for that first seed, even Mad Magical. With this guy's dropping again to Supernova, a 2-0 here would give them that solo second spot.
And right now, they're trying to fight for the easiest seed possible, right? That's the whole thing with seeding and how it is, especially if you can get that second seed for FlyQuest Challengers Maryville. They've got to have something left. It's a 9,000 gold deficit they find themselves at, but based off Supernova winning the last game that they had against Disguise and now losing Get Back here, it's looking like they are still going to be in that contention for that final remaining spot in playoffs.
I saw just being left as lonesome in the bot lane the entire time, as Niles has been grouping up 4-1, trying to make things happen with the side of Maryville. This lead with too much now for the side of FlyQuest. FlySol is going to take this one down all by himself. As, okay, Spyrax.
Auto Ranger's looking for something. He was trying the YOLO play, but it was read by FlyQuest, and now, with 2 members down, they have the Baron buff minions. They're pushing down a mid. FlyQuest Challengers, they look like they're not going to be stopped at all. They've won this game, and they know it, as they are now toppling Maryville inside of their base. The 2-0 sweep to start off week 6, to claw all the way up the standings, to gain themselves the second seed is what they are here for, and to deny Maryville that glimmer of hope to remain and not have to fight in the promotion tournament. FlyQuest looking red hot in our second round robin.
Oh, hold on here. Masu got kicked back into the turret. I think we're going to wrap things up here on the side of FlyQuest. These games...
I got baited. I thought the turret was the Nexus.
Part of me thinks that these games were closer than they looked, and the other part of me wants to respect how quickly FlyQuest shut the door onto Maryville once they got a lead in these, Mad Magical. As FlyQuest, it was pretty much they got Baron and won game 1 in 21-40. And then that dragon fight, like before the third fight, that was pretty close. I mean, the game was, I would say, slightly FlyQuest favored, but there were all summoner spells up. It was a really tight fight that almost went MU's way. FlyQuest able to pull it out thanks to some heroics from Spyrax and Masu. But then the next fight, they just go back, crush the next fight 5-0, and end on that first Baron yet again, as FlyQuest Baron macro continues to be rather impressive. And they are cleaning out these games in very, very strong fashion. And able to really right the wrongs that happened for them at the end of the first round robin against Maryville as they find that clean 2-0 today.
They're not letting any avenue for Maryville to come back in this one. That gold graph where it's close until it wasn't, right? It's just Maryville had options, they had opportunities, and then there was one good fight. That's all it really took for FlyQuest to win, because all you need is to get that Nocturne Ahri combination ahead, and then everything seems impossible as the poke.
Yeah, it was really tough. And of course, once you lose flashes against that hard engage as a poke comp, going up against Nocturne, Rakan, Ahri, you could see the angles and the over at the top damage and CC that FlyQuest were able to have as they had good executes, and made sure that game went in their favor.
All right, with the 2-0 FlyQuest right now, they're looking solid in second place because this guys did drop that game earlier to Supernova. But of course, there's more action left on the Rift to find exactly how everything is going to go throughout the weekend. For now, we're going to toss to a break. And when we come back, Mazel will be here for our Verizon post-game interview with the coach of FlyQuest Challengers, Rocco. Make sure you stay tuned.
The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace. Find your drive.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Verizon post-game interview. We have changed it up a little bit. I've got the FlyQuest Challengers coach, Rocco, here with me to talk through some of the advantages and this incredible win that you're able to pull off on our last week of the regular season. Now, the team has shown incredible grit. Not only last split, but this split. What is the key to that here?
I think the most important thing is that the players have to understand that regular season doesn't matter that much, realistically, right? I think, especially like with the format right now, like it's almost guaranteed to make playoffs, right? So the most important thing is that the players believe in a trajectory you're following, right? So the improvement that you're making. Like we had that one weekend where we went 2-4, I think, the last weekend of the first half. Obviously it sucks, but at the end of the day, like you talk for like 1 or 2 hours after that and you pinpoint why it went wrong, and the next week you just bounce back way harder. I think it's just important, as long as the players believe that they're part of something, that they keep improving, right? And that the losses don't necessarily matter in regular season. Because at the end of the day, if you get 8th, right, you can still win.
Still can.
It's really important. I think it's mostly it.
Okay, now there has been talk of that second round robin. You were even talking there, you know, you learn a lot from the losses. Well, it seems like every time you guys lose, you're punching straight back. So what's the secret sauce of the second round robin here?
I think we just have very good read on the meta, to be honest. I think we figured a lot of stuff out. And also I think the mistakes we made in the first round robin, I think we just invested a lot of time into fixing those, like on certain setups, on like how we play out certain fights. I think especially like the 2-4 weekend was like a positive wake-up call for us, because I think we felt quite comfortable with how we're playing, and then we realized that our mistakes like way more, you know. So I think it was mostly the 2-4 weekend is when we started turning it around mostly, and obviously like after that the second round robin starts. So yeah, I think it helped a lot.
Helps a lot to springboard off it. You will be facing off of the final 2 series of your season, at least in the regular season, against Taco and Supernova. Do you have any thoughts moving forward into those 2 matchups?
I don't know. Like the thing is, like I think in the league right now, all the teams are. You can clearly see like based on the scoreboard, right? Like it's quite close with like like TL and like Wildcard and us like being a bit above that. But like anyone could beat anyone at this point, you know. Yeah. So like we don't underestimate any team right now. Especially like I think sometimes I've realized this being a coach and as a player over the past many years, you know, like usually when you're playing teams that are supposedly like lower in the standings, you actually have higher chance of losing for some reason. I don't know how it works, you know.
Competition is beautiful, ain't it?
Yeah. At the end, it just comes down on the day, you know. So after today, I'm confident, like I know we can beat anyone, realistically, right? Okay. So just like make sure we have good draft, make sure my players are focused. Then we just 6-0 this weekend. That's fine.
Now I want to pick your brain a little bit though, because we don't really get to talk to coaches very often, but I always find it such an important part, especially in a developmental scene like ours. How do you approach motivation? How do you approach kind of task making for these kinds of teams and focusing them up?
I think it's actually a bit more tough this year than the years I've had in the past. Because, for example, when I'm back in Europe, I think that we usually have like two days of matches, and now it's like 3 days, 3 scrim days, 1 off day, right? So the amount of scrims you have in a week to like change something is like a bit shorter, right? So I think for me it was mostly important like at the start, like show the players a very clear path, right? What's important, like what's important to me, like what does it take to be part of this team? How do we align our goals, right? Make sure that the players also always feel heard, you know? Sometimes, for example, this week was kind of tough, right? Because we had Jalal subbing into LCS and like we lost some scrims because of that too. But just also being creative and like making sure you do stuff out of game, you know, that also still keeps the players feel like they're moving forward, realistically, right? It's really important. So I think overall the biggest thing is just like obviously it's easy for winning to stay motivated, which helps a lot this split because like we're second, right? So we win many games, so it's like nice. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is just as long as the players and the team feels like they're moving forward, it's nice to be part of that. Once the team is like stagnating, it becomes super dire, right? Because like when you're bashing your head into a wall, like what do, right? So I think the most important thing, to sum it up, make them feel like they're getting better, make them feel like they want to be part of it still, and just invest a lot of time in that. Mostly, yeah.
And just a little bit of a kicker on top of all that. Do you feel like the meta has really been leaning into those favors for you, able to help motivate with some of the flexibility that the meta has been bringing to your team specifically?
I mean, like, as you saw, for example, last weekend, right? When we start pulling up the Ziggs and the Cartis and stuff, I think
it was pretty nice.
Yeah, it's exciting, right? So, like, I think we have, like, also much more to show. I think if you look, for example, in LCS this weekend, there's a lot of very similar stuff, right? You have, like, the Maokai, the Jace, the Trist, then you have, like, the Rumble and the Renekton, the Shemster, and Sejuani and top center super S tier. But I think there's some flexibility here and there. Like, for example, TSM, right? When they flex Sejuani mid, stuff like this. I think there's potentially more to be exposed. I mean, I can't say yet, right? So like, it's exciting.
Yeah, of course. Hey, I'm down for the foreshadowing.
Yeah, but for example, the Tryndamere today, right? I don't think I've seen this. Like, historically, it's a super good champion to Rumble. Honestly, we've not played it in the scrims yet. Like, we actually didn't play it at all. It's just like we spoke about it like a few days ago. Told Feist, like, yeah, what do you think about Tryndamere into Rumble? And he's like, yeah, it's good. And he played it in the past.
Flexes all over him.
So we got the Sedge, and I picked the Rumble. It's like, well, why not? You know. But the thing is, like, at the end, like, obviously, like, we didn't pick it in scrims, but I think the thing is, fundamentally, my team has a lot of things down, and then the champs are kind of interchangeable, right? If it's Jax or Tryndamere, it actually doesn't really matter, right? Because they have a similar job. So I think we're flexible. I think my players are super talented. They have many champs in their pools, so I feel good in this meta right now.
You got all the options. Now, I do want to give you, before I let you go, a chance to give some shout-outs yourself, because we always do it for the players. You got to give some love to the coaching staff.
I want to for sure shout out all my players. Like, I think it's been like not the easiest split, you know, with some stuff going on, but I think with just like the effort that they've been giving and like how talented they are and like how far they can go, like I've been super satisfied so far. Also, everyone in the FlyQuest organization taking very, very, very good care of me. My players are super nice. Outside of that, just my best friends, Joe, Jan, Will, and Bjorn. They're watching for sure too. I appreciate you guys a lot for supporting me in my career, so thank you so much for that.
Rocco, thank you, man. I'm so happy we actually got to talk to you and get a little bit of the behind the scenes at a burning FlyQuest here as they just trudge through an incredible final part to their split. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you again soon, I hope, and good luck in the rest of the games this weekend.
Thank you, guys.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring back Magical and Cubby. We're going to round out the day as we check into our standings. And my goodness, we got some spice. As we were saying earlier, and we were trying to talk about it in that interview, second place for FlyQuest right now as we are getting towards the end of our first day of the final week.
By themselves, too, because FlyQuest got the 2-0, while Wildcard and DSG both split their series. Wildcard went 1-1 against EGC, and that's getting a very interesting conversation going into these final days for seeding for the top teams, but still, the attention's got to be on the pot side, right? TLC is facing off against Team Fish Taco next over on LCS Challengers, and if Taco even just take one game, that's all they have to do.
One game, man.
There is a three-way tie for that final spot for playoffs.
Importantly enough, Maryville does hold the tiebreaker over both, as the tiebreaker, the first tiebreaker is 2-0s. So how many 2-0s you have? Maryville have 2, as they 2-0'd. Funnily enough, FlyQuest Challengers.
Yeah,
they did. Round robin, which ended up being, could be really important moving forward. Supernova and Taco only have 1 each, so something else to look out for as we move throughout the rest of the week. But hey, that race for 8th, going to be rather exciting as we close things out. And speaking of closing things out, stream's done a little bit early as FlyQuest just shut down Maryville in 45 minutes total of game time in those 2 games. That's pretty quick on the 2-0.
Yeah, I can probably go to the beach right now. It's the sun's still out. I could get to the pool.
But it works out perfectly because we're getting set up for the next series over there on the other stream, TLC versus Taco. It's going to be a blast. But before we do that, you got to know, the LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace where you can book any car you want for just about any occasion. You could have a nice photo op. You can go on a drive down the street. You could just have a car parked in your driveway if you want, if it looks cool. Forget about boring car rentals at Turo.com, and we'll see you over on LCS_Challengers.